Active listings rose by 8,546, according to Housing Wire's market tracker earlier in the week. And new listings were also up, which was the big data point because we haven't seen that yet. So new listings for the week were at 59,926, almost matching new listings for the same week in 2022 at 60,000 plus. We've seen a 10 or 15,000 new listing gap week over week from 2023 to 2022 up until this point. So the gap on new listings closed considerably. I know Lisa, his point a couple pods ago was that, maybe we're just starting to see those new listings come on now that wanted to list, got, paused during the Easter holiday and all of that. Totally could happen, which is why, like, when we come on next Friday, if we see 2 weeks of active listings going up, 2 weeks of new listings going up, then we're going to be able to take a sigh. If we see them drop back down and we haven't actually found our bottom, that's going to be really confusing. This is a really complex market. We're already into May. By next week, when we're at, next Friday, that's going to be, by the way, that's going to be Cinco de Mayo. So maybe we will be having a little beverage during that pod. I don't know, but the Cinco de Mayo pod, you should have already hit bottom by then on active listings. So next week's going to be really telling on where we're at. And every single market's a little bit different. NAR put out their number this week, and the only region that had month over month increases in pending sales was the South and the Southeast. Northeast down over 8%. The West down over 8%. The Midwest down over 10% on pending sales from February to March. So we're not talking about inventory anymore, talking about these pending sales. That to me was like, whoa. Usually you will see pending sales go up February to March. Not the case in almost every market across the country. Lisa, your thoughts on inventory and then just where pending sales are heading?
Well, I think there's a direct correlation, right? I think that the interesting thing is I think the buyer demand is there to create a pending sale increase. It's just the continual lack of inventory is what is pushing down on the pendings. And it's tough because I think the interesting thing is despite the decreasing pendings, prices are increasing. And at least up here, right, in
Yes.
Massachusetts, which is kind of a
And across the
real
country.
most of the country, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a bit of an anomaly. You don't typically see decreasing pendings with increasing prices. It's fascinating. I think,
That's why the market's so complex, because you'll see, stats and measurements that are contradicting each other.
yes, in so many different buckets, right? Like you can look at like what should happen when interest rates increase at the rate that they did, and that didn't happen, right? Prices, affordability actually got worse for most buyers. I think, a lot of the conversations that we're having with our agents are talking about the buyers that chose to step out of the market last year and the reality check that they're having as they come back into the market, that what $700,000, $800,000 could buy last year, man, there's a lot of disappointment about what $700,000 and $800,000 buys this year, which is, when you add in the interest rates and the impact of that increase, it's crazy.
Tom, what do you say to somebody coming back into the market like Lisa's talking about, where they're day one back into the market and they're instantly frustrated with the market because, to Lisa's point, they're thinking backwards of the experience that they had the first time they were in the market and the opportunities they lost? What should the knowledge broker say when they get reintroduced to this client and they're back out on showings and they can just see the frustration on day one?
What they shouldn't say is "I told you so." Let's just lead with that, because there's some agents that they want to be right in these situations, and you want to be the one that sells them the house or helps them sell their house. So don't say that. Number one, let's just edit yourselves there. Like, congratulations for being right. It's not going to make anyone feel any better, and I think that's really important because you're going to piss a lot of people off. With that in mind, what they should say is, "Hey, here's what's going on." And Byron, we've had this conversation so many times. Lisa, you as well, where here's what's happening. Here's the latest data. Here's the trends I'm seeing. And hey, I hear you. The market can be a little frustrating for people. I get it. So just out of curiosity, what's your backup plan here if you don't buy this time? and get their motivation down, because when you get in these real estate transactions, they get highly emotional. People get highly frustrated. They get so worked up. And when you bring it back to the motivation every single time, backed up with data, backed up with facts, because that's how you really help people, it's going to keep the buyer or the seller on course. And I think that's so critical right now. That's one of my first coaching moments that I remember from hiring a coach was bring it back to the motivation, and things will calm down a little bit, because the market's going to be the market. Rates have settled in now. And it's, I mean, I think it's very clearly, until our boy Jerome Powell, Byron's BFF, to start speaking next week, we're going to see rates kind of, I mean, I've been seeing 6 1/8 to like 6 1/2. They've been bouncing back and forth. That's kind of been where they are. So the good news is they've stabilized. We're not seeing this volatility where they're up a point, they're down a point on a 14-day period. So that's good news for buyers. Then you want to look at, okay, you're worried about rates. There's companies out there like Tomo Mortgage that offers a 120-day rate lock with no agreement of sale. So you've got to have that in your back pocket if they can qualify there. It's really about, hey, here's the facts, here's the market, here's what I expect to happen later. What's going to be the best move for you and your household? And when you approach it like that and ask them what they want to do after presenting the data, instead of telling them, no one likes to be told things. When you ask the right questions based on facts and data and knowledge, that's where you become a real knowledge broker and can help people.